This is Dabu7. We have iceberg lettuce and broccoli and other vegetables being rationed now in the UK, as they're saying that a vegetable crisis is hitting supermarkets there due to shortfalls in areas where they're usually expecting to get a normal delivery. And they're blaming a lot of this on Spain, the bad weather in Spain, and them not being able to yield any of the crops they're used to putting out. This has adverse effects for not only the UK but other countries. But on the other side of the coin, if they're not selling, there is someone out there that will. It's just going to cost more. And other companies and stores just can't afford that higher price tag and altogether not be carrying the product, which creates one problem. Then, even when you have places like they're doing now saying you can only have 2 iceberg lettuces or 3 heaps of broccoli per visit. Well, when the shelves are empty, they're empty. Even if they're rationing, once they're empty, they're empty. And the price skyrocketing from 42p up to £1.19. And they can reach out and get the stuff still, but they can get it from a place like California, where they're going to pay a lot more money to get it for the shipping and a lot to do with the shipping. Or they're going to say, go frozen. And other people are like, we don't want to go frozen. Well, if you want to get the fresh, you're going to pay for it in this instance. And what's interesting is when I had a discussion with Trade Genius, and he's like an expert in that field of the stocks, and he was talking all about the grains and the foreseeable future, the next 6 to 9 months. That's about where we're at here. And the time frame he was talking and the stockpiles is what he was looking at. He has information he looks at on a daily basis that most people don't see. And he studies that, and he sees that, all right, this is what they're expecting. If we've got a small amount here and they're expecting a small yield on the next crop, then we may have some problems and then prices skyrocketing in certain areas. And see, that's what he looks for in the stock market to try to make the gains and all those things. But in doing so, he noticed something concerning, that when it comes to the supply globally of fruits, vegetables, you name it, wheat, that there was a shortfall in many of these areas, and that there was going to be an effect down the road, and that this is how you were going to see it come about. It would start in the form of rationing, and then the prices of some of these exact products spiking. And even then, they were looking at the weather conditions in certain countries and where most of these countries draw their food from, their fruit. And the U.S., we have the problem with Monsanto and GMO, obviously. It's a very dire one. For crying out loud, they try to put stuff in the stores and not even tell you, not even label it. When they went into an area called Ukraine and they inserted Monsanto, Ukraine was the breadbasket of that whole area. And because of that, that's why Russia is burning heaps at the border of the GMO. But they're going to pump it into anywhere and everywhere else that they made by law, or that they're just not going to tell you. So if you live in one of them countries in Europe, high chance that you're eating GMOs and you don't know it because they've made the laws that way. And that's what's sick about it. And all the waste of food across the globe is a problem anyway. But when you see a rationing, and when you see major supermarkets within a whole country start to say, hey, you can only have X amount, within due time, like most of these stores, the shelves go empty until they can get their next stockpile in, and then they got to kind of reevaluate it and say, all right, are we going to keep it there, or are we going to break it down even less? You can only have 2 because we ran out so quick. So that's the situation they're in. And they can still get some of this from other places, but they're going to pay out the nose for getting it shipped clear across the globe, like from California or wherever. So that's the situation they're in just that instance when it comes to the vegetables. They're rationing, and it's kind of a dire situation at this point because until the next yield, that's who they depend on. People don't realize this until it affects them, till they go to the grocery store and see that stuff's spiking, and it has been here in this country too. Fruits and vegetables on the rise as well. And then the whole talk with the border thing, and noticed it's gone up even more because people don't realize we do $1 billion some in trade across that Mexican border in produce every day, and people just don't realize these things and how the economy's set up as a whole. So if you start to make moves that affect certain things and how things flow, it can definitely put a spike on goods. And if you're not prepared to grow your own food, have farmers and all this other stuff that they've tried to weed out in mass, obviously, to make you dependent on them. If you're not ready to survive on your own, you have a rude awakening coming for you. You need to learn how to grow food, have some non-GMO heirloom seeds. It's the best advice I can give you. You want to start somewhere, start there and start growing your own and be self-dependent. It's easier said than done, but hey, versus facing a crisis, I think making some moves, spending the money and making moves now to have that sense of security is worth it, if you ask me. And to have a plan. I always say have a plan. I talked to a hair about that the end of last week's, a couple weeks ago, Underground World News Live, about blackout weekend, grid down weekend, practicing it. And I'm going to talk more about it tonight, matter of fact, and actually get into detail about it. Underground World News Live will be over on Into the Stars channel, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to check us out there. We'll be talking about a lot. Sure to be an interesting one. And I hope to see some of you guys there. I'll leave links below. It's been Dabu7.